This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
A lot of products say they're clean, but what does that really mean? At Ritual, we have very high standards for what clean really means. Like for our best-selling essential prenatal multivitamin, which is heavy metal tested, Clean Label Project certified, and GMO-free. It features key mom-to-baby ingredients like folate for neural tube support, choline for baby's brain development, and omega-3 for brain and vision support. But our high standards don't stop there. All of the ingredients in our essential prenatal multivitamin are sourced through our made traceable supply chain, so it's clear where they come from and why they're there. Because clean isn't clean enough, especially during pregnancy. Shop Ritual for the support you deserve with 25% off at ritual.com/prenatal. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
To get my lunch set ready to go. Time for 534 right here on the Grum on the Fan.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the wolves.
As you mentioned right before the commercial break, the Wolves are in Memphis tonight to take on a Grizzlies team that is 1 game ahead of them in the Western Conference. A loss for the Wolves would probably cement a spot in a play-in game. Common, how do you expect the Wolves to respond tonight after blowing it in Milwaukee?
They give me no reason to believe that they'll win. None. Zero. I don't trust them. I'm sorry. And I know that the basketball community doesn't like to hear it. Basketball community, I don't think they like my opinions on the Timberwolves, but I only go by what of course I don't see it. I just read it. I just go by what I've heard. And, they had one decent stretch. They won 8 games in a row, and everybody thought we were gelling and stacking and all that. And to lose that, I know they were on the other end of that. They had the blowout loss where they were outscored 40-13 in the fourth by leading by as many as 24 and lost to Milwaukee. Of course, they had a game similar to that where they were on the other side of it. They were way behind OKC and came back and won. So it's like, you don't know what you're going to get with this club. Which one is it going to be? What will it be tonight? Will it be close down to the wire and they sneak it out? They lose it? Will they get blown out? Will they have a big lead and lose? Will they come back from a big deficit? I just don't know. But if I were a betting man, and I'm really not, we do a couple of the fun bets here on the Fan with Rosen and you on, like Masters and such like that. But I expect them to lose tonight. Sorry. That's until they prove me wrong. I expect them to lose. You know why? They're going to build this thing together. We'll be doing a Wolves montage tomorrow because they're going to get it all turned around. 3 or 4 guys are going to have triple doubles. It's just going to be the basketball. It's going to be the hockey equivalent. No, the basketball equivalent of what happened last night with Eric Sinek, Boldy, and Kaprizov.
Timberwolves are just unpredictable.
Very much
You can't
so.
predict what they're going to do.
You
Yeah. Ober just chipped in for Birdie.
I saw that.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the wolves.
fans. I'm just telling you what I think. If you think it's trolling, then you're too sensitive.
Just giving your opinion. Sam Amick and Tony Jones both wrote a story in The Athletic about the Denver Nuggets firing of Michael Malone, their head coach, and Calvin Booth of their GM. And in it, here's what they wrote. Quote, league sources expect there to be discussions about a possible reunion with Tim Connolly, the former Nuggets general manager who drafted Jokic and whose departure to the Minnesota Timberwolves in May of 2022 led to Booth's promotion from his assistant general manager role. While Connolly has an opt-out in his contract for the summer, it's widely believed that Timberwolves owners Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry will do what it takes to retain him. Common, do you have any concerns about Tim Connolly potentially heading back to go to Denver?
I'll just say it's good to be Tim Connolly, right?
Yeah.
Because they probably do want you back in Denver. It's even possible, Tenby, I know you have these, you have some cynicism built in as well. When you first started at the radio station, you were just positive and upbeat and ducky and bunny, and now you're sarcastic, cynical, and doubting, snarling and backbiting to boot. Could this be just something that Conley's people are throwing out there so they get even more money from Lowry and Rodriguez? I don't know. I wouldn't doubt they'd want him back. I mean, he did. He built that team into I guess I always thought he was there for when they won the title, but he wasn't. But he built that team to get them there. Then he put together a pretty good Wolves team last year. They were in the Western Conference Finals. So, and I think, truth be told, I've sort of panned the trade of Big Meow to New York to get DiVincenzo and Julius Randle, and I still think I'd rather have Bodega Cat than I would rather have those two. But it hasn't been an awful trade, especially when you were almost sort of kind of forced, right? Because you had to do something. You already had, you're already over the salary cap. I think you're on that first apron already of the luxury tax. You're about to go to the second. Something had to be done. Just not sure they selected the right guy, but they did. And they're certainly not. I don't think they're as good a team as they were last year. Maybe they are deeper. That's what Rosen suggests they could be. But I still think Conley did that. That wasn't a bad trade. When you got DiVincenzo and Randle, you had to get something. And so, he's probably. He's highly regarded, and I'm sure there'd be a number of teams that would like to have him, and Denver would probably be on the top of that list, particularly because they have a vacancy.
Question number 3.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
Yeah, the Wild got both Joel Eriksson-Ek and Kirill Kaprizov back last night, and they both paid immediate dividends. Ek scored 4 goals. Kaprizov scored twice, including the game winner.
Spurgeon flicked it back. Kaprizov darts in. Left it back. Zuccarello. Left circle. Cross ice. Kaprizov scores! What a play! What a shot! And Kirill Kaprizov wins it in overtime!
Kaprizov's overtime winner gave the Wild an 8-7 win over the San Jose Sharks. Common, does last night's performance give you more confidence if they can make the postseason?
And we can build this thing together. I like this club. I liked them at the beginning of the year. I didn't know what to expect. I liked the way they got out of the gates. We know what the injuries did to them. I think their goaltending is, I know Gus has had his moments where it hasn't been, how has he been lately? Well, he gave up 7 last night.
Well, he didn't play last night. Fleury played last night.
Well, there you go. So I like the club. I mean, I told the guy in the coroner's office I told him get off and stay off. He's been very down on the club. I think they're going to the Western Conference Finals.
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
Just leave it at that. I think they're going to the Western Conference. I think it's going to be, who would be the other team in the conference finals?
Let's say, well, it depends on what side of the bracket they're on. Let's just say, I think the Dallas Stars might be the best team in the West.
I think it's the Stars and the Wild in the Western Conference Finals, and you're on your own after that. So there you go.
I will say, obviously last night wasn't a perfect game. They were playing a bad team, though there is some good young talent on that San Jose team. Celebrini and Will Smith are going to be future studs. Celebrini might be a stud already. But, I get defensively they were bad, gave up 7 goals, had a 3-goal lead in the third, gave it up. So it wasn't all duckies and bunnies and roses last night. But the fact that Eriksson Ek and Kaprizov came in without looking like they had any rust was massively huge. They make such a difference on your offensive lines. I mean, we've been seeing like an AHL type offense here for the last 2 months of the season. And not only does it balance out all your lines 5-on-5, like Matt Zuccarello is a completely different player when Kirill Kaprizov's on his line. So all of a sudden his play elevates. Boldy all of a sudden is going, can go against other teams' second lines or second pairing defensemen because he's separated from Kaprizov and has a little bit more freedom and doesn't have all eyes on him anymore. All of a sudden, Gaudreau and Nyquist and Johansson are on your third line as opposed to your top 6. And now they have a little bit more freedom out there. And if you want encouraging, assuming they make the playoffs, I think the most encouraging thing going into the playoffs is special teams has always been an issue for this team. Their penalty kill has been good for a long time now. And they didn't really, I don't even know if they killed the penalty last night. Their power play, when Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek were out, they switched to playing 5 forwards on the power play. And I'm looking out there and I'm seeing Johansson and Gaudreau. I'm like, man, this isn't a very intimidating power play. All of a sudden, when you now do that 5 forwards with Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Boldy, you got Eriksson Ek as your net front, and then Marco Rossi. All of a sudden, I watched that power play last night, and they scored multiple power play goals and go, man, this looks dangerous all of a sudden. You're giving your best guys all have kind of like some space out there. So I think your power play and penalty kill all of a sudden might be going as good as we've seen it going into a postseason series of whoever they play against. So that part of it is encouraging, even though I get it was one game against a really bad team last night.
After all of what you just said, I have one question for you. Yeah. Are we sure it's Johansson and not Johansson? Has anybody asked him? Is Peter McGuire?
I can't confirm.
I think I'd like to find that out. Maybe this whole time we've been calling him Johansson and it's Johansson. We don't know.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Who knows? Who? What are you, an owl? Let's take a break. We'll come back with a little distant left. We'll update the Masters leaderboard for you. We'll go to the, I love people that get the bit. This guy says, Common, driving my mail route. Could you get more Masters updates from the update desk updater, 10B, 10B? Yes, we can. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Here on the Grom on the Fan.
A lot of products say they're clean, but what does that mean? Ritual has high standards for what clean means, like their essential prenatal multivitamin, which is heavy metal tested, clean label project certified, and GMO free. It features key mom-to-baby nutrients like folate, choline, and omega-3. Clean isn't clean enough, especially during pregnancy. Get 25% off at ritual.com/prenatal. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Man.
Starting Monday, April 14th, KFAN has 9 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with Pay Your Bills, powered by BigDeck.com. That's every hour, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Starting Monday, April 14th. Listen for your keyword, then enter it at KFAN.com for your chance to win.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. Mailman guy got back to me and said, I wonder what percentage of your listeners are mail carriers like me. And I said, I didn't respond to him, but I would say I think there are quite a few. And I'm part of the brotherhood. I'm a mailman, too. Get it? I mail it in every day. I'm a mailman as well. You got to explain the joke. It's not as funny as I thought. They're playing the 89th Masters Golf Tournament at Augusta National Golf Course in Augusta, Georgia. Let's go to our Masters Leaderboard Update Desk and go to our Masters Leaderboard Update Desk Updater, and that would be Tennessee. Tennessee.
Yeah, we have a new leader, a solo leader. That would be Tyrrell Hatton. He is 4 under through 12. And then you have 4 golfers Tied at one stroke back at 3 under. That would be Corey Connors, who's 3 under through 17. Colin Morikawa, who eagled number 13, so he's now 3 under through 14. Scotty Scheffler, 3 under through 13. And Justin Rose is 3 under through 7. After that, you got a handful of golfers at 2 under. Aaron Rye, Harris English, Jason Day, Denny McCarthy, Akshay Bhatia, and Bryson DeChambeau, who is both DeChambeau and Bhatia. They're both 2 under through 3.
A lot of people are picking John Rahm. How foolish could those people have been, including me? He's 2 over. He went par birdie birdie or par bogey bogey. So he's struggling a little bit there. Though he striped one up the fairway in the short par 4 fourth. Could you do me a favor and look up Freddie Couples? Freddie Couples.
Yes.
He is playing a yellow golf ball. We think that may have been his. He just left it in the water instead of retrieving it, which I don't blame him. But he had a Masters moment today. Didn't you say he holed out?
He holed out for eagle. I don't know what hole it was. Might have been on the bet towards the end, but he shot a 1. He was 1 over at the time, and he finished 1 under 71. He holed out from 191 yards out.
Now, the reason I bring it up, I think I've told you, baby brother Peter is now into golf.
Yep.
He had played with me when we go up to Camp David. He and Deuce would play with me, but never took it seriously. Then when Pete gave up basketball just to go to school, he needed something to replace that, and now he's into golf. Matter of fact, I just got his golf clubs for him today. He's been fitted. He's got a brand new set. He's into it. He's been studying the Augusta National Golf Club because he doesn't really know the course very well. He's into golf. He watches Good all the time. He watches Bryson DeChambeau's videos. And Pete sent me this. You're going to love this.
How proud of him are you right now, by the way?
I'm very proud
Just
of him.
going to get you emotional.
I'm glad he's come over to the side of the best sport in the world. But BBP sent me this text message, Tenneby, on Tuesday of this week at 3:17. Somebody should tell Freddie Couples to hang it up. Well, Freddie's right now at 1 under.
Tied for 12.
Kidding me.
Tied for 12. Because BBP watched him and they were showing him on the range, and apparently he was stretching his back and he looked like he was about to go into traction. So then Pete, all he knows is Freddie Couples, he's a golfing dinosaur. He's got a bad back. Maybe it's time for Freddie to hang it up. Freddie's right there, stalking, trying to find a way to make the cut after all these years. Bernhard Langer playing in his last Masters. You said he shot 2 over 74 today.
Yep.
Still pretty good for a guy who's 67 years old. And while the kids he's playing with are hitting wedges into greens, he's hitting hybrids. So, yeah, it's interesting to see. I will say this, Tenneby. This is how excited I am about the Wild. It's the first time ever that a local team's montage has pushed Wheel of Topic off the front page.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, think about that.
Above average at that.
Because I could have Wheel of Topic'd it today.
Sure.
I mean, I actually had a pretty good route. Here's what I'll tell you, Tenneby. The game starts...
What did you shoot today?
79.
Where'd you hit it on one?
Right up the gut.
Hold on.
Where'd we play?
Loggers Trail.
Where'd you hit it on one?
Right up the gut.
How far from the green were you?
I had a 7-iron in my hand.
Second shot?
Missed the green again. Missed it left.
Then what?
Flubbed a wedge.
Then what?
Chipped a wedge up close and tapped in for bogey.
Well, there's that.
I had 5 bogeys in the first 7 holes. Just sloppy golf, right? Here's what happens to me. When the game comes as easy to a person like it does to me, sometimes you don't. You just think it's like putting the keys in the car and turning it on and you're going to go, right? I just wasn't focused enough. Especially, one of my big issues is I get too much of that head movement going where I get back here, right to the backswing, and then as I'm going to the ball, I kind of, start to look to where it's going to go, and then I keep pulling everything left, and I got to the 8th hole, and by the way, I only missed 2 fairways all day. I split the fairway every time. I'm back to hitting the driver like I did back in the mid to late 90s, right? I just don't miss a fairway. It's just automatic. I'm back to hitting draws, too. It's just, the club's my brush, the ball's my paint, of course, my canvas. I'm comfortable hitting it farther and straighter. So, starting on 8, I said to myself, focus on the game. Give it the respect it deserves. You can't just go up and, swing and expect the ball to go where you want it to go. And so starting with 8, I went par, birdie, bogey, par, 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 bogey, bogey, par. So I had an 8-hole stretch where I played even par, and it's starting to all come together. Is what I'm trying to say. It's starting to work. So that's what you missed without Wheel of Topic today. I know a lot of people were asking me about it. I've got the text messages if you want me to read them. People wonder where did Wheel of Topic go? What happened today? And that's exactly what happened. Tenneby, is there anything here at the Master? I mean, I know it's very early. Anything surprise you, disappoint you? The live players I always expect to play well just because I truly believe most of them, especially those top tier guys, your Koepkas is, your Rahmses is, your Hattons is. Is Cam Smith also playing on live, Tenneby?
Yes, he's on live.
Your Smiths is. These are the guys that I think, I don't think they would change their decision. The money's just too good. But I don't think they like playing live golf. I think live golf is like AAA. I mean, not that their talent isn't major league, but it's just AAA. It's like it's a rock concert. It's golf on steroids. It's a rock concert going on. It's a shotgun start. It's 54 holes. Other than about 5-6 guys, the rest really don't have much of a chance to win. You got your old guys that are just, the Lee Westwoods of the world and the Sergio Garcias of the world that are just playing out the string, right? They'd rather just play 12 rounds.
There's no cut. Everyone's getting paid.
Yeah. So it's. But I do think the other guys. I mean, I still get to play in the majors if they qualify. So I know there are some people I've talked to that go, the jokes on the PGA Tour. They only play 12 times a year. They get all that money. They still get to play in the majors. I just know this. And I guess, unless you asked them, and I don't think they would ever admit it, you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. You're not going to say, yeah, it's great to be here, but I really wish I was back on the PGA Tour. They would rather be playing at Riviera and Harbor Town, outside of majors, than playing at Doral in the format they're playing with the team stuff. They just, especially those guys, because, man, you're playing for legacies to be like Hogan, Nicklaus, Woods, Jones, Hagen, Saberhagen. That's why you play. And so, Faldos and Trevinos and all those guys, Nicklaus, that's why you play the game, is you want to be in that rarefied air. And it's just not there playing live. But so I always expect those live players. I mean, Koepka said, we talked about this quote a couple of times this week. He said, I've been getting ready for the Masters since December, right? And I think all those guys feel that way. And that's why I thought Rahm, I love the quote from Rahm. I think I brought this up on the air yesterday, where it was in the news conference where they bring him into the press tent, and they said something to the effect of, you've dropped quite a ways on the rankings. He goes, where am I nowadays? He doesn't even check, right? And they go, you're 80th. And then somebody said, do you feel like you're the 80th player in the world? I mean, where do you think you should stand? And he paused for a second. He goes, well, I mean, without giving you a number, I think I'm top 10 in the world. And I don't think there's any question that he is. And he's standing over a birdie putt right now. He's +1.
He's got to have this putt.
Yeah, he's got to have this putt. He really does. And he did. So now he's back to even. So a lot of people doubted Jon Rahm. Oh, by the way, Tenneby, just so you know, remember when I said that I was better putter than 50% of the players on the tour?
Yeah.
Then I said I was better than 60%. Let's say I was getting a little cocky, I guess. But you know what I did go back to today? I went back to my 86 Nicklaus open stance, open crouch. So where you open up just a little bit, you turn that left foot and you get really low. Remember, on that, yes, sir. You've seen that highlight a million times, right? He crouches way down. I went back to that. Let's just say the ball was a magnet and the bottom of the hole was steel. I couldn't miss after a while. So, yeah, love it. Just love it. Let's pause, come back. When we do, I got some controversial Vikings news other side of the break here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
A lot of products say they're clean, but what does that really mean? At Ritual, we have very high standards for what clean really means. Like for our best-selling essential prenatal multivitamin, which is heavy metal tested, Clean Label Project certified, and GMO-free. It features key mom-to-baby ingredients like folate for neural tube support, choline for baby's brain development, and omega-3 for brain and vision support. But our high standards don't stop there. All of the ingredients in our essential prenatal multivitamin are sourced through our made traceable supply chain, so it's clear where they come from and why they're there. Because clean isn't clean enough, especially during pregnancy. Shop Ritual for the support you deserve with 25% off at ritual.com/prenatal. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
It's iHeartRadio Week, only on Wheel of Fortune. Tonight, country superstars Lady A stopped by.
Lady A.
And Wheel is giving away an unforgettable trip to Las Vegas and the iconic iHeartRadio Festival. Watch Wheel of Fortune tonight. Check your local listings.
That sounds like a heck of a concert. I might want to show up with some friends.
Lady A. Double 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Tennessee. National Football League draft, a couple of weeks away? When does Purple Parade begin? Monday. That's Tennessee's look at who he thinks the Purple should take in the draft today.
We'll do it at 1:15 every day for the next week and a half.
Very good.
Starting Monday.
Mock drafts. We have, of course, our mocking the mock draft. We'll do that on the third best day in sports. The first best day in sports is day 3 of the NFL draft. Second best day of sports is the second day of the NFL draft, and the third best day in sports is the day number 1 of the NFL draft. So on the third best day in sports, we'll do our mocking the mock draft. We're excited and delighted to bring it to you. It's probably the most popular segment on this radio station every year, besides Preposterous Statement Tournament, Program Password, and Wheel of Topic. Those 4 are the most popular segments here on the radio station. I have the documentation and the numbers to prove it. But the mock draft, I just get such a kick out of. I talk about this every year. I'm like AC/DC. I just play the hits. Do you know the 3 biggest hits by AC/DC? I don't. I'm going to ask Rosen when he comes in.
Of course I know the 3 biggest hits to AC/DC. They are Thunderstruck, Hell's Bells, and Back in Black.
You don't have an iPad, you have a cell phone, so it's basically the same thing. Anyway, we looked at 2 CBS Sports. How many people work for CBS Sports? There are literally hundreds of writers for CBS Sports, and it seems like all of them do a mock draft. We looked at 2 of the mock drafts yesterday. Both released the same day, both by CBS Sports. They had the Vikings taking 2 different players. One had them taking a safety, and the other one had them taking a cornerback. I don't even remember their names. There's another one that came up. This one today, Tennessee, this dude for CBS Sports, I'm not making it up. The headline is all 257 draft picks. So he's going through every single one and predicting, like, with the 141st pick. He probably won't even get the first overall pick correct, and he's thinking he's going to get 141. For the Vikings, round 1, pick 24, this is the 3rd different player out of 3 drafts. He has something called Nick Ammonwari. Have you heard the name before?
Who?
Apparently not. Nick Ammonwari is Nick Ammonwari, safety, South Carolina, 6'3", 220 pounds. He's the 2nd ranked player at his position, so apparently the 2nd best safety. His prospect rank is 20th, and what it says is, instead of trading back, the Vikings stay put because of the immense talent still available in Ammonwari. So we have 3 different mock drafts, 3 different writers putting that mock draft together, and then, of course, we have 3 different players being taken, which is just, that right alone right there, that's just sort of an example. Right there, that's in a nutshell why mock drafts are meaningless. And I know they're all, not only are they meaningless, they're harmless. They are harmless. It's fun for the the slow thinkers of the world, the meat sauces of the world, they enjoy that. It gives them something to gnaw on. It's like, it's like throwing a dog a bone, right? Just here you go. Go ahead and gnaw on this for a while. It's pablum, but guys like meat sauce really enjoy it. So again, who is going to be drafted when? I think we just leave that for mocking the mock draft. I think there's a better chance of the mocking the mock draft being accurate in all 32 picks than there is the mock drafts that you see on the various.
Well, I do find it interesting that usually we go into drafts with the Vikings and you go, all right, huge need at cornerback, huge need at offensive line, huge need here, right? There might be 2 or 3 positions where you're trying to go into one of those spots, and those are the areas you focus on. I think this team definitely has some long-term needs.
Yep.
But for 2025 purposes, I don't know if there's any like super glaring needs of we got to have this position this year.
Right.
It's your offensive line, the interior of your offensive line are older. The interior of your defensive line, older. Obviously, Harrison Smith from a safety standpoint.
Really old.
Older. So you can look at those positions and go, yeah, we need to draft for those positions 2, 3, 4 years from now. But, if you're all in on 2025, like I think they could pick mostly any position. They're probably not going to take a quarterback at that spot.
Right.
But for the most part, so I find it more interesting than typical drafts because they could go anywhere on the board.
Yesterday, you, me, and the legendary Mark Rosen did our Masters pick. We had 4 columns, and the columns contained players by odds. The players that were like, I don't know, was it one? It was 25 to 1,
30 to 1 and lower. Yeah. 30 to 100, 100 to 200, then 200 and over.
So we took 2 from the first group, and I think 3, 3, and 2, something like that. And one of the players you selected is a player that I think you select almost every time. And I like him too, and I didn't, and I thought about it, and that's Justin Rose. What do you think Justin Rose is doing today? He's leading the golf tournament.
He's at the top of the leaderboard.
He is at -4 through 8. Because Justin Rose has won 1 major. He won the U.S. Open at Marion. And I've always liked Justin Rose. Hell of a player, seems to have that nice guy kind of personality, always has a lot to say, and he is a hell of a player. And I now, again, he could fold like a cheap suit and not make the cut even, but I wished I would have taken him because I
actually have 2 guys tied for the lead right now because Corey Connors, that's another. He's in the clubhouse 4 and 6 now. I also have some guys that are not going to make the cut. Yeah. So this is, I'm a little all over the place right now. You are all over the place. Johnny Raw makes another bogey. He is now +1 through 4, so he's went par, bogey, and that's where we stand. So, and Justin Thomas, who is a favorite for a lot of people coming into the tournament, he's on 15 right now, hitting his 3rd shot, and he is 2 over on the day. So, a lot of golf yet to be played, as we say, Tennessee, and we'll just see how this plays out, but we'll keep you updated here. I saw a story that caught my eye right away today. Again, it's another CBS story. Headline, Tennessee, NFL fires 3 officials, relegates them to college ranks in unprecedented move, per report. Reads as follows. There will be some change amongst the NFL officials next season as the league has fired 3 officials heading into the 2025 season. I didn't know there was a website. Football Zebras. I did not even know that they had their own website. Per Football Zebras, the 3 officials that were dismissed were done so in an unprecedented manner. Typically, NFL officials that are dismissed are free to seek new officiating jobs on their own. The NFL decided to return them to the college ranks as the 3 officials will work in the Power 4 conferences next season. The officials who were relegated, 2nd-year umpire James Carter, 3rd-year line judge Robin DiLorenzo, and 1st-year down judge Robert Richardson. The young guys. Think about it. 1st-year down judge. His 1st year, he was already so bad at it. What is a down judge? What do? Do you judge which down it is? It's pretty obvious. It's on the scoreboard. It says 1. It's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th down. There isn't any other one. I don't even know what he does. Is that seriously? Does he keep track of what down it is to make sure nobody gets confused?
Carter was an alternate official for the wild card round in 2024, while DiLorenzo didn't qualify to officiate a playoff game in her eligible seasons. Richardson wasn't eligible for the playoffs as a first-year official. It's uncertain if the three officials can enter the redevelopment program and work their way back into the league, since this move to relegate officials has never been done before. The NFL has put an emphasis on data analysis as a way to evaluate officials, as the league is looking at improvement over the course of the season when deciding whether to retain or advance officials. All three officials did accept the league's offer for relegation, which will bypass the union in the grievance process. The NFL, having the ability to relegate college officials if the officials accept the offer, could also be part of a new development program for promotion for current college officials to get into the NFL. Of course, those college officials have to go through the development process.
A down judge is an official stationed at the line of scrimmage on one side of the field, typically opposite the press box. They are responsible for overseeing the line of scrimmage, directing the chain crew, and making calls related to plays on their side of the field.
And now the chain
sounds like an easy job.
Yeah, the chain gang is now basically going to just be a backup, right? Because that'll be just for show,
for aesthetics,
right? Because they're going to actually have a camera doing that as well. And this story reminds me of, I've talked about the last several days. Matter of fact, I've been talking about it for years about how, to me, basketball is the toughest game to officiate. And that's why it is. I understand why fans and players themselves and coaches get upset, pop a bolt because they feel like they didn't commit a foul or they were fouled when they took a shot or whatever the case may be. And oftentimes when you see the replay, they got a gripe, right? But you chose to play or fish or coach in a sport that's really hard to officiate. So you just, I know it's tough to take, it's hard to swallow, but you have to. And I can say I never played basketball, on an organized level. But I think I've talked about it enough. People know that baby brother Peter played basketball. He was a pretty good little player. And never did I complain about it. I mean, I knew there were calls that went the wrong way. There were times that our team committed a foul and they weren't called for it. There were times that we didn't commit a foul and we were called for it, and vice versa, right? The whole thing. But you just kind of, if you are going to be a fan of basketball or playing, you just have to accept it, right? Football is another tough one because, again, especially the holding. I mean, you can call holding on every play. So when do you call it? When don't you call it? Then what is pass interference? What isn't? There's a lot of judgment calls in the NFL. And then I remember for the longest time, I haven't heard much of it lately, and maybe I've just missed it. You can tell me, but got to have full-time officials. We're the only sport that doesn't. You have guys that are like, they may be cops, robbers, insurance salesmen, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, they do something else for a living Monday through Friday. But but then it's the weekend as they play. It's like, if we had full-time officials, that would make it a lot better. And I'm like, I still have never understood the logic to that, because if you're full-time, what are you doing Monday through Friday? Breaking down film? Are you going to high school or college? Again, they don't even play football's played on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday's high school, Saturday's college, and then there's the pros. As a full-time official, what are you doing? And don't tell me, well, you're breaking down. No, you're not. It's like watching game on tape and deciding if they're penalties or not. You know if they're penalties, right? If you're watching on tape, but you don't have that luxury when you're calling the games live, and split-second decisions have to be made. You throw a flag or you don't throw a flag. And this whole idea that full-time officials would solve everything, I think, is one of the most preposterous things I've ever heard. And then if you'll remember, and this is where you and we got the last laugh. Remember when they had the scab officials?
Yeah.
Because they had some kind of a strike. And it turned out that somebody, one of those, sports sites, broke down, because I think the scab officials were 3-4 weeks, whatever it was, 5 weeks, whatever. that they had fewer blown calls than the regular fee. Because remember, it was like, now what are we going to do? Now we've got guys that never officiated before.
And it was the trendy thing to do to criticize every missed call they made.
Right. And yet you found out that in the same sample size, the regular referees, the full-time referees, were missing calls or making calls that didn't even happen, more so than the scab officials, the fill-in officials. And so here, I don't know what they do to judge. I mean, my guess is they keep track of how many times they got it wrong. I mean, that would be the only reason why you wouldn't be invited back as an official. So
I'm trying to figure out how this relegation to college football works, right? Because it's not like the NFL and college football are owned by the same entity.
I don't know. Well, here's what I don't get. So now, think about those three that have to go to the college ranks. As soon as they make like a blown call, you know they're going to get trolled by fans and coaches and players. Maybe you want to do high school now instead, right? Because they're blowing calls on that level. It's a tough gig. The idea of full-time officials, I think, is pure folly. I don't think it would change. If you want to do it, go ahead. I don't care. But I think it's pure folly. I don't think officiating would get any better or any worse. I do think there is something maybe to, and look, I'm a boomer, okay? So, ageism isn't my favorite topic. But I would say there is something to, and you've seen it tend to be in the NFL, right? That 60-year-old guy trying to run as fast as he's trying to keep up with Justin Jefferson or Addison, or who's the speed burner for Detroit?
Jameson Williams.
It's going to be a little tougher to keep up with those guys. So the young guys may be a bit more spry, more athletic, and get up and down the field. But again, then, does experience trump? Does experience Donald Trump? No. Does experience trump youth? I don't know. Again, I don't know what experience in officiating. He either held or he didn't, right? He either chop blocked or he didn't.
He either read the rules or he didn't.
Yeah, he passed interference. He roughed the quarterback. He grabbed the face mask. I think any official, except for the one that officiated the Vikings game last year when Sam Darnold almost got his head torn off, any other official is going to be able to see, yeah, he grabbed his face mask. I'm going to throw a flag there. I don't think it has to be a young guy, old guy. Doesn't have to be a woman, a man. Doesn't matter. You either call them as you see them. But
I will say I've always found him using the chain gang, and I know they're not associated with the referees, but the chain gang. You never just see like a 25-year-old on the chain gang. That's always, 70 plus.
Correct. The old guys.
Yeah.
Why
is that?
I think probably because they've seen their better days, and instead of putting them out to pasture and firing, go, why don't you just do chain gang? Just go up and, okay, sounds good. And then they still get to be involved. Still kind of
Those are all former officials, or?
I don't know. That's what I'm assuming. That'd be my assumption. You know me, I just guess on everything. And if I say it with enough authority, people start to believe it. So that's what would be my guess. And I don't know what those officials make. It's funny. We talk about this all the time, like 3M Open. Hey, how would you like to come and volunteer? You don't get paid, but we could sure use your help. So, you get tickets. People do it. You could probably get people that would volunteer to be officials in the National Football League.
Oh, sure.
Some high school guy here locally say, hey, how'd you like to do the Vikings game this weekend? What's it pay? Nothing. I'm in. Right? I
actually did that in radio to begin my career.
There you go.
Just coming in here for free.
Just come in for free. Well, has that really changed that much?
Pay hasn't increased that much, no.
It really hasn't, has it? I'm sorry about that. Nothing I can do about it. So, but how embarrassing to be. I mean, I've been fired before, man. I've been hired and fired more times than Billy Martin. That used to be a really funny joke to people that know Billy Martin, because he was hired and fired by George Steinbrenner like 5 different times as manager of the Yankees. But it's never good to get fired. But
well, I will say I have sympathy for them getting fired. But how many times have we seen like poor officiating in any of the sports, any of the professional sports, and they never suffer any consequences for bad calls,
yes.
right? And fans just get
Correct.
fed up of, well, they can just make whatever calls they want, and there's no consequences to it. So, not that I want those guys to get fired, and I'm sad they lost their jobs. I think to run your best optimal league, you need to be, like I said, giving consequences to poor officiating. If they're not doing their job, you need to find someone find someone who will.
Last thing on the Masters for now, for this hour, because we're about to go to break and then bring Mark Rosen in the conversation. We'll talk some more Masters then. I saw a story, to me, one of those sidebar stories, a feel-good kind of stories. You're not allowed, I'm sure people do bring them onto the course, but you're not supposed to bring your cell phones out on the golf course at Augusta National Golf Course. And I would bet most people abide by that. Just because, most people that go there, they're into golf and it's everything. And, we always abide by, cart path only, the whole thing, right? 90-degree rule, which I always abide by the way. That's one thing you will always find about the Ambassador. I replace every divot. I repair every ball mark. I rake every trap. I do 90-degree rule. And if it's cart path only, it's cart path only, because I have respect for the wonderful superintendents and grounds crews that take care of these golf courses for us, and that's what you're supposed to do. There's nothing that infuriates...
And respect for your fellow players that are playing after you.
That's exactly right, but you don't see that a lot. I mean, it varies, but I see so many divots unreplaced and so many ball marks, and the raking is the one that bothers me more, because you're supposed to do that. A divot kind of explodes sometimes. There's nothing to put back. Okay, that's great. Or you forget one time you had a great shot, you got excited. Ball marks, you kind of know, but you're just too lazy to bend over and fix one.
Well, that's the part that I don't understand. There's nothing better than hit a green regulation. You get to go fix your ball mark.
While the other guys are searching for their ball in the rough or
I enjoy doing that.
I'm with you. And raking your trap, as you're supposed to. There's rakes everywhere. Yep. You're just lazy is what you are. Laziness breeds laziness. And then more laziness after that. Where was I going with this?
I have no idea.
It was golf related. Oh, no cell phones. So they don't allow them, but do you know they have phone banks at Augusta? Like the old fashioned, you go up there like you at the airport, you see like 10 phones in a row. They actually have phone banks. Like the old days, they bring them in just for that. They're not there all the time. So that if you do need to make a phone call, you can go over to and they're away from the action on the golf course. They're up by where exactly they are, I don't know, but they're not near. And they you can still, I don't know if it's a charge card, and I don't know what it costs. Is it 50 cents? It is $1. I don't know what it costs. But so the more things change, sometimes they go back to where they once were. We'll take a break. We'll come back. When we do, we'll welcome the legendary Mark Rosen into the conversation. It's the Common Man program here on The Fan.
A lot of products say they're clean, but what does that mean? Ritual has high standards for what clean means, like their essential prenatal multivitamin, which is heavy metal tested, clean label project certified, and GMO free. It features key mom-to-baby nutrients like folate, choline, and omega-3. Clean isn't clean enough, especially during pregnancy. Get 25% off at ritual.com/prenatal. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.